Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. All right. Anyways, all right. So, welcome to the Mikestand. Today is Thursday, April the 10th, 2025. Of course, we give people a chance to come in before we get started. Hope everybody's having a good night tonight. Hope you're all having a hope you're all having a good week. As we're now in the latter half of it, I'm sure many of you are getting ready for the weekend here. Um, of course, a friendly reminder if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the screen, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. La 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 la. All right. So with that, all right. Well, we have three people in here now, so we're getting close to the 3 minute mark here. I might as well go over. So tonight we're just going to go over the one article, as this week, of course, we'll be going over. We'll be going over the Indie Comic Showcase from Bleeding Fool. Among the featured parts of the article include our old buddy Apex from Apex Comics. Fembat was part of this week's set of interviews, so we'll be looking at that. Of course, then we'll have the wrestling wrap up. Go back to last night's Dynasty, the Dynasty uh, I'm sorry, last night's Dynamite, the first Dynamite coming off of the Dynasty pay per view, and then of course we'll get to this day in each history. So with that being said, and of course a friendly reminder, if you haven't already, you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to engage. That'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions, and I'll try to answer the questions best of my ability. With that being said, let's go ahead and get going here on the article. And this normally does take a good chunk of the time. That's why we usually do only this one on the nights we do this. All right, so let's see now. Indie Comic Showcase number 299, so one away from 300. Fembat, Arbiter, and Cat and Mouse Vipers. Article by Chris Braley, published yesterday. All right, so here we go. Here we go. Welcome back to another installment of Indie Comic Showcase, the weekly blog where we signal boost a few truly independent comics that are currently crowdfunding their projects, crowdsourcing their funding in some way, or just completely self-publishing on their own. Every little bit of support for these creators matters, from a single dollar pledge to the $20 bundle, and of course, the higher tiers are usually fun too. Even if you can't back a campaign or buy a book, you can share or tweet about these projects to your friends and followers, or of course, come here because I cover this article as well. So I will also, during this show, provide the information if you guys want to, another avenue, you guys to check out the material. So on Indie Comic Showcase, we interview the creators, show off some art, and tell you how you can check out the product for yourself. Below, we have some outstanding crowdfunding campaigns this week for you to learn about, enjoy, and hopefully support by backing one or more of them. Thanks for checking these out and for being the best part of Indie Comics Showcase. Let's jump in. All right, so here's the first one. So Roland Man's Cat and Mouse Viper is number one. So let me go grab this link. And of course, this is a Fund My Comic project. Our old buddy RJ helping out with that, I take it. RJ Carter and Luke Stone and the rest of the gang, as it were. Let me just. Alright, so here's the link to this first article we're covering. Cat and Mouse Vipers number one. Oops. Alright, I guess I'm gonna have to. Let's see, can I edit it or no? Delete comment. Sorry about that, folks. I kind of goofed there, so I'm gonna have to redo that. Let's try this again. Alright, so misspelled vipers there, saying wipers. So I just needed to fix that. Unfortunately, with StreamYard, of course, you can't edit your text. You can only erase them, and well, you can't edit them after you've done it. Apparently, with that. So there's a link. If you guys want to go check that out. All right, so let's get into the article then. Cat and Mouse Vipers number one by Roland Mann. Silverline Comics, of course. Mann, Concepcion, Fuentes, Conroy. We've seen Silverline's work before, right? All right, so here we go. Chris Braley, welcome back to Indie Comic Showcase, Roland. Hit me with your elevator pitch for Cat and Mouse Vipers. Roland Mann, giant child-snatching vipers are terrorizing New Orleans, pulling children from their homes in the middle of the night in their eagerness to take on human trafficking in the city. Vipers. Okay, are vipers these are so I take it these are not actual vipers, I guess. Maybe this is just some kind of code name for traffickers or something like that, I'm guessing. Okay, let's go back up to the cover. Actually, no, there is a viper apparently. let's see. Their eagerness to take on human trafficking in the city, Cat and Mouse find themselves in the thick of it. Crime, action, and drama, with a smattering of superheroics. Fans of classic Batman, Daredevil, and Spider-Man will like this series. All right. As I said, feel free to comment and or ask questions if anything here grabs your attention. All right, Chris, where did the idea come for this comic come from? Roland, I wanted to see Cat and Mouse take on something a bit supernatural since we're in New Orleans. We haven't seen much in the way of giant talking snakes, so I thought that would be fun. Chris, tell us about your style and creative process. Roland, I'm a big fan of the quote unquote Marvel method for writing. It's something I developed way back when I first got started in the late 80s. So I'm hoping he's talking about older Marvel like Stan Lee, and Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, Jack Kirby, and not current Marvel like guys like Tom Brevoort, Joe Quesada, and the lot of them. So, let's see. Thanks to the book How to Do Comics the Marvel Way. That was my Bible. As I spent time in the industry, I came to appreciate the wide open visuals that method gets from the penciler. It seems to me that the pencil's visual aspect of the story flows far more smoothly than those with a full script. And I guess here's an alt cover from the one we saw up top there. I guess the one up top there must be Mouse, while the one on the bottom there is Cat. All right, so these are actually humans. These are actually okay. But Chris, introduce me to your creative team for this project. Roland, Angelo Concepcion is the penciler, and he's going to be getting the attention of folks very soon. He's a recent Kubert School grad, and his work has a lot of energy to it. Cat and Mouse fans are going to love his work. Jose Fuentes is the inker, also Kubert School grad. His inks really bring depth and shadows to Angelo's work. They're really a great team, soon to be mentioned along with names like Burn Austin, Roberta. Let's see, Roberta Conroy is a colorist. Well, just look at the work. I've known Roberta since our Malibu comic days, when she was a colorist back then. Roberta is one of those colorists who just quote unquote gets it. I'm blessed to be working with these amazing artists. Chris, is the book ready to go to print? Roland, yes, the comic is ready and is complete and ready for print. In parentheses, only a few final edits and corrections need to be made. Unparentheses. Here's another cover here. All right, and we continue on here. Chris, what have you learned from self-publishing through your work at Silverline? Roland, self-publishing and crowdfunding both require a lot of time and energy. I know some folks think you can just put it up and let it go, but you have to push promote every single day. It's a lot of work. Chris, I assume there are more stories coming for this series. I would assume that too, considering that he called this number one. So, Roland, this story will take 3 issues to tell. And yes, I'm already working on the next story, the next 2 stories, to be specific. All right, here's another cover. Wow! Oh, wow! That'd be quite scary, I would think, having a giant snake's head like that coming at you with those teeth ready to bite down on you. And of course, the venom kind of coming off of the fang there. Yikes! Kind of a very, very graphic visual right there. Chris, anything else you'd like to share with our readers before we wrap up? Roland, for anyone unfamiliar with Silverline, the thing I want them to know is that we deliver. This is about campaign number 35, and we have 100% fulfillment. We have always delivered. While I'm not one to promise you'll love the comic, I really think you will like it. You will like it. We don't have the superstars that some other campaigns have, but we have comic creators who love making comics, and we produce what we promise to produce. Give us a chance. Chris, cool. We're rooting for you, Roland. All right, so there we go with that. Now, Arbiter from Oblation Comics. Arbiter. So let me just go grab that link by Vinny Ja. So let's go ahead and go grab that link. And we got another Fund My Comic project. Another Fund My Comic project. All right. All right, so here's Arbiter by Vinny Ja right there. So there's the link if you guys want to go check that one out. Leave that up there for a moment. Give you guys a chance to put that on there. All right, so now let's go ahead and go to the article here. Arbiter by Vinny Ja. Chris Braley, welcome to Indie Comic Showcase, Vinny. Let's start with your quick pitch for Arbiter. What's the story about? Vinny Ja! Arbiters throughout time sealed the dimensional cracks before anything could get through. However, Chris doesn't know what he is because his teacher mysteriously vanishes. Chris must find answers before all reality breaks apart. So basically, it sounds like you got this guy who I guess is what they call an arbiter in here, but the guy who took him under his wing to kind of train him to to know how to utilize and moderate his powers has disappeared. Chris, what inspired what inspired the concept for this comic, and why did you choose to self-publish it? Vinny, this was an idea I had for many years. It's a story that gripped me and had to be told. I decided to self-publish because um, um, felt like the best path for me to share it. It suited for readers from high school age and up. It's suited for readers from high school age and up. Okay. Here's some of this here. Check out some of the art there. Let's go check back with the. Hey, Vishozo. Thanks for dropping in. Of course, if you can help out by liking and sharing, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, it'd be appreciated. And of course, as always, if anything grabs your attention here, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Well, with that being said, let's continue on with this article here. Chris, can you walk me through your creative process and how you've honed your storytelling style? Vinny, I've written a dozen scripts across different genres, and my method remains mostly consistent. I always write the ending first and let the character choices naturally guide the reader toward their predetermined conclusion. Chris, tell me about the team behind this project. Who helped bring Arbiter to life? Vinny? Well, I, in parentheses, Vinny, am the writer. I created the story, wrote the script, designed the characters, and laid out some panels. Denio took all that and beautifully rendered it digitally, pencils and inks. Nankim Studios handled the colors. Let's see. Chris, how is production going? Is the book complete, or are there still steps left in the process? Vinny, I finished writing the first several issues. The cover and the first 5 pages of issue number 1 are complete and uploaded on the campaign for everyone to see. The funding will go toward completing the rest of the book and printing it. Chris, what has your experience been like with self-publishing and crowdfunding so far? Vinny, this is my first attempt at both. I've already learned so much, but there's still more to figure out as I go. Here's some more of the artwork right here. All right, as we continue on here. Chris, do you have plans for more stories beyond this one? What does the future hold for Arbiter? Vinny, there are plenty of stories to tell with Arbiter. Each one will be more intense than the last. My plan is to create 3-issue story arcs that build up to a climactic conclusion. Chris, any specific features or any special features or perks tied to this campaign? Vinny, yes. Campaign includes exclusive content like a teaser, cover, and early pages, which fans can preview right now. All right. Some more of the artwork here. Hey, Chris, anything else you'd like to share with our readers before we finish? Vinny, I hope readers will give Arbiter a chance. It's a labor of love, and I believe it's a story worth telling. Thank you for your support. Chris, good luck, Vinny. And finally, our buddy here, our old friend. We know him, of course, affectionately as Apex from Apex Comics, but of course his real name is Brett Cantrell. So, Fembat by Brett Cantrell. That's the last comic featured here. So let's go grab that link. Wonder if it's going to be a trifecta. I wonder if all three of these books we focused in on tonight are all going to be from. Yep, I thought so. So all three of these books we featured tonight, of course, are all Fund My Comic projects. Excuse me there. Alrighty then. If Apex is here, I'm sure he might have the things he may want to say as we are going over the article tonight. All right, so there's the link. If you guys want to go check that link out, go check out the project for yourself. There's the link. If you guys want to go check it out. All right, so let's get into the article then. Fembat by Brett Cantrell. Oops. All right. Chris Braley, can you summarize? So, not even an intro right there. Ouch. That kind of hurts. Chris Braley, can you summarize Fembat for our readers? Brett Cantrell. Set in a Seattle go-go club in 1968, Olivia Del Rey gets bitten by a vampire at her workplace. She gains vampire powers but suffers from their drawbacks. After spending over 50 years searching the globe for her attacker, Olivia meets Professor Nigel Emery, a brilliant scientist who develops the Fembat battlesuit. This suit enables her to fight monsters, demons, vampires, and anything that goes bump in the night. Enjoy 56 pages of black and white superhero horror action featuring a dynamic, sexy hero with bulletproof tatas, quote unquote. Chris, what inspired you to create Fembat, and why did you choose self-publishing as your route? Brett, as a child, I was a fan of the Universal Monsters and Hammer films. As I got much older, I wanted to see a vampiric female hero destroying evil monsters wearing a bat-like costume. Something straight out of a Hammer film. Comics are the cheapest way to express my visions. Originally, I created Fembat as a full-page weekly strip, but shelved it for 20 years until I rediscovered it in my art files. It took me 3 years to write, draw, ink, and letter 56 pages full of action, humor, and suspense. It's aimed at teens and adults who are fans of superheroes and horror. Here's some of the work right here, I guess. All right, let's see. Chris, how would you describe your creative style? Brett, my art style was influenced by a number of great artists like Neil Adams, John Byrne, John Buscema, Buscema, um, Gil Kane, Dave Cockrum, um, Barry Windsor Smith, and Bernie Wrightson. I started drawing comic strips from daily newspapers like Little Abner, Steve Roper, and Flash Gordon at age 6. By age 11, I transitioned into comic books. While I often draw from memory, I also use photo and artistic references for visual accuracy. Chris, did anyone else contribute to bringing Fembat to life? Brett, besides working on the entire comic production myself, writing, drawing, inking, and lettering, wow, I hired Dan Lawless, a fantasy and commercial illustrator, as well as a comic book artist, to illustrate the variant cover. Omer Garcia III provided the promotional graphics for my Fund My Comic campaign. We all know each other from YouTube. And of course, I know Omer as well, just seeing him in, not just in, and of course, Apex's chat, but also, on his screen, but also, of course, on, on Rex's stream, on Devil Flyer and all that. So, So I guess Brett Apex gave a shout out to some of his buddies there, huh? Chris, it is complete or still in progress? Brett, all 56 pages of Fembat are complete except for a redrawn pencil version of page 1 that will be inked by Peter Palmiotti, a 35-year industry veteran. My full color mini comic Enforcer Inc. versus Devastator still needs 4 more pages to be penciled, inked, and lettered. Additionally, 12 pages need coloring. And Chris here, what is your experience in the self-publishing field? Brett, I self-published my books on and off since 1996 with the introduction of The Execution and Femme Fatale Flipbook, or The Executor and Femme Fatale Flipbook. There was no crowdfunding in the late 90s and early 2000s. I like coming on different live streams to promote my book, and I asked other creators to come on my panel to promote their books too. I never expect how much I can make in a campaign, and it's a lot of work to prepare campaigns and promote books, but I love it. And speaking of Brett and being on live streams, of course, Brett Cantrell, we know him better as Apex from Apex Comics, will actually be on my show this Sunday, as we will be, of course, taking another trip down Comics History Lane, focusing in on May of 1940. So if you guys want to get a chance to hear him read some old comics and do voices, you guys might want to come check that out. So there we go with that. Anyways, Chris, what's next after this book? Brett, I need to finish my third chapters of Executor Femme Fatale flip books and put all 3 chapters into a collective trade paperback TBB. I'm also writing and drawing a 24-page one-shot titled The Creep, 100 Feet of Pink Perversion, which is a comedy horror book. Fembat Volume 2 is projected for release around 2029. So wow, have something to look forward to, as it were. Additionally, Fembat meets Devil Flyer is in development alongside plans for a quarterly book titled Enforcer Inc. So I guess he's getting together with Rex to do a kind of a collaborative comic there. Chris, are there any special perks on this campaign you think are worth mentioning? Brett, the best bang for your buck is the Fembat Fiesta tier of $125. You get all 4 covers of Fembat Volume 1, an 11 by 17 Apex Comics poster, an original black and white sketchbook bookmark, and a 5 by 7 original color artwork piece, 2 prints, a bonus mystery hashcan, and copy of the full color mini comic Enforcer Inc. versus Devastator. Plus, domestic shipping is free if you back the Dan Lawless variant cover. There's some more of the artwork there. Chris, anything you'd like to share with our readers before we wrap up? Brett, please subscribe to Apex Comic on YouTube, where I do almost weekly live streams featuring short videos, unboxings, video art demonstration, book reviews, and promotions for other indie creators. Yes, I do know every other week he gets together. Well, during the middle part of the week, of course, he has Apex After Dark, usually somewhere between Tuesday and Thursday nights. And every other Saturday, I believe, at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific, he does along with, of course, Rex Christian from Devil Flyer and Hex Allen from Quantum Comics, I believe. He does the Rex, Hex, and Apex show. So you guys might want to check that out. Okay, Chris, thanks for chatting with me today. Best of luck with Fembat. All right, so anyways, wrapping this part up here. That's it for this installment. If you're a creator ramping up your own campaign or have a comic available for purchase online and you want to be featured in our weekly comic, click here. So we can hopefully help you get more eyes on your crowdfunding comic project. Until next time, support indie comics. It looks like Chris shortened that little ending there. Well, I obviously took out the Twitter reference. But anyways. Alrighty then. So there we go with that. So, and before we, of course, do move on here, let's do this real quick. And that. All right. So here are the campaigns that we highlighted tonight. Cat and Mouse Bite version number 1 on Fund My Comic. There's the link if you guys want to go check that one out. Arbiter. So let's see. So first, Cat and Mouse Viper number 1. That's of course from Roland Mann from Silverline Comics. And we got Arbiter from Vinny Ja. I'm gonna go check that one out. And there's Fan Bat from our old buddy Apex Comics. Real, of course, real name Brett Cantrell. So if you guys want to go check that one out as well, there you go. So now, with that being said, of course, let's go ahead and talk about. Let's get caught up on the wrestling wrap up. As of course, there is some other news that coming out. We did talk about how the Kevin Owens Randy Orton match was canceled due to the fact that that Kevin Owens suffered a neck injury that has pulled him out of WrestleMania 41. There's now talk that there may be another match that that may be in danger of being canceled, as during SmackDown, I think a couple weeks ago, during a segment, Damian Priest had choke slammed Drew McIntyre into a windshield. Now, apparently, some glass broke off of that windshield and went into Drew McIntyre's eye. He's been wearing an eye patch over that eye for the last, I guess, couple weeks since that happened. But right now, they're determining if he'll be able to go. So there may be another match that might be put on the shelf due to that injury. So, anyways, so now let's take a look back at last night's Dynamite. The Dynamite coming out of the, of course, the Dynamite coming out of the results of the Dynasty. The opening match saw Jon Moxley defeat Katsuyori Shibata by referee's decision, as Jon Moxley ended up trying to choke. Basically ended up putting him out. With Marina Shafir also getting involved a little bit here and there. And then after that, there was, of course, a segment that saw MJF try to once again ingratiate himself into the Hurt Syndicate, only for Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin to basically tell him to, go away, basically. Then after that segment, of course, Swerve Strickland rebounded from his loss to Moxley. Rebounded from actually after the match with Moxley. In fact, the Young Bucks came out to congratulate Moxley. And then give an explanation as to why they basically cost Swerve Strickland the AEW World Title, which saw them basically say they were doing a favor for Hangman Adam Page, trying to ingratiate themselves to the Hangman, only for them to be, of course, confronted by Kenny Omega. As Kenny Omega, after speaking his piece, was about to attack both Young Bucks, only for Katsuyori Shibata, not Katsuyori, Kazuchika Okada to come out in what is being built as a possible unification match between Kenny Omega's international title and Okada's continental title. As he was about to have to deal with all three of them, Swerve Strickland came out from the crowd to go after the Young Bucks, as he and Omega exchanged fist bumps. Strickland got on the mic and basically said it was buck hunting season, in reference to the Young Bucks. George Strickland then had a match with Pac, coming off of his along with his tag partners Asinoli and Wheeler Yuta. They're coming off of their AEW Trios titles victory. The match was had to be cut short, though, as it would appear that Pac possibly injured his ankle or foot during the match after having a buckle bomb executed on him by Strickland. Then, in an 8-man tag match, you saw the team of Speedball Mike Bailey, Mark Briscoe, Kevin Knight, and Will Ospreay defeat the team of the Crew of Action Andretti and Leo Rush, teaming with Ricochet and the Beast Muertos, in a match in which the winners got, I believe it was $400,000 went to the winning team. So, and then you would see in a segment later in the show in which Don Callis tried to ingratiate himself to Mike Bailey, only for Bailey and Kevin Knight to shut him off. Then in a quarterfinal match for the Owen Hart tournament, Chris Statlander advanced, following Mercedes Monet's. Chris Statlander advanced over Thunder Rosa in their match with Tony Storm on commentary. Of course, this year's Owen Hart tournament winners are going to get a world title shot. So the women's winner will get a shot at Tony Storm and the AEW Women's World Title. And the men's winner will get a shot at I guess at this point it looks like it will be Jon Moxley, unless something happens between now and All In. With the finals, of course, being held at Double or Nothing coming up on May 25th. Let's see. Mercedes Moné, as I said, has already advanced in the tournament. They announced that for this Saturday's Collision, Jamie Hayter will be taking on. I'm trying to remember who it was. Jamie Hayter will be taking on. Man, I can't even remember who it is now. Yeah. Well, Jamie Hayter will be in action against her opponent. I just can't remember who the opponent is right now, unfortunately. Actually, I guess there is a way I can find that out, of course. Billy Starks, that's who it is. So they did announce that Jamie Hayter would be taking on Billy Sparks in her next match coming up on Saturday. and then the winner of that match, of course, advanced to the tournament final. And then the main event saw the two remaining members of the Ops, Hook and Samoa Joe, defeat Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta, with them along with Jon Moxley trying to Jon Moxley came out trying to get involved, only for all three members of the Death Riders who came out to in essence be choked out by all three members. So with Hook getting the red rum on Wheeler Yuta to get the win there, while Claudio Castagnoli was choked out by Samoa Joe, and Jon Moxley was choked out by Kazuchika Shibata. Now afterwards, the Death Riders got the upper hand and tried to injure Hook with Claudio executing a neutralizer onto Hook onto a chair where he put it where the legs of the chair were exposed up. Only for Samoa Joe and Shibata to come in, clear out the ring, and then for Joe to challenge the Death Riders to a match for the AEW World Trios titles. Hey, Rick, thanks for popping in. So now, looking ahead to tomorrow night's, looking ahead actually to tonight's, Impact and Ring of Honor. First off, on the Ring of Honor show, coming from the UW Milwaukee Panther Arena in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The show is set up to have Johnny TV and the M&M collection of Mansoor and Mason Madden, Ty Valkyrie in their corner, to take on the three-man team of Drake Daniels, Jordan Cross, and Ryan Matthews. Marina Shafir is set to take on Nikki XS. Tomohiro Ishii in a build-up for tomorrow night's for his shot at Konosuke Takeshita at tomorrow night's New Japan show. Ishii will be challenging Konosuke Takeshita for the never open. Actually, no, I'm sorry. He'll be challenging Gabe Kidd for the strong. Konosuke Takeshita will be defending the never title against Hiroshi Tanahashi. But Tomohiro Ishii, in preparation for his 30-minute Iron Man match against Gabe Kidd for the New Japan Strong Openweight title, will be taking on Preston Vance of the Frat House. In a non-title six-man tag match, the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Champions Dustin Rhodes and Von Erichs, Marshall and Ross Von Erich, will be taking on Davey Bang and the team known on the indies as the Violence is Forever, Dominic Gamini and Kevin Koo. And then the main event, we'll see in a proving ground match, Bandito, who defeated Chris Jericho at this past Sunday's Dynasty to become the new Ring of Honor World Champion, will be taking on Jay Lethal, a former Ring of Honor champion in his own right. And now looking ahead to tonight's Impact, coming from the St. Joseph Civic Arena in St. Joseph, Missouri. Matthew Rainwalt and Tom Hannafin on commentary. In a prelude to his upcoming three-way match to earn a shot in the finals coming up at Unbreakable for the newly designated TNA International Championship. Eddie Edwards will be taking on Steve Macklin in a singles match. Mustafa Ali will be taking on Ace Austin. In a non-title match, I guess to get a chance to earn a title match, X Division champion Moose will be taking on Cody Deaner, only to have to end up granting him the title shot. The Rascals of Trey Miguel and Zachary Wentz take on the System's Brian Myers and JDC. Ryan Nemeth is set to take on Leon Slater, and then in the TNA International Title Tournament three-way match, in the first of the three to be done, Sammy Callahan will be taking on Mance Warner, and they'll also both be taking on AJ Francis of First Class. So that's all I got for the bye everybody. Well, we're not done yet. There, that shows up. But anyways, with that being said, now of course we're going to go ahead and move on to this day in each history. So, with today being Thursday, April the 10th, 2025, let's take a look back at this day in each history. All right, so with all that being said now, first off, I'm going to head back 60 years ago, as on this date 60 years ago today, back in 1965. On this date back in 1965, Dick the Bruiser regains the held-up World Wrestling Association World Title by defeating Johnny Valentine in Indianapolis. So 60 years ago today, Dick the Bruiser regains the held-up World Wrestling Association WWA World Title by defeating Johnny Valentine in Indianapolis on this date 60 years ago. Now moving ahead to 1995, 30 years ago today. And on this date, 30 years ago today, the 15th and final issue of Dead World from Caliber Comics went on sale on this date back in 1995. Sold for $2.95 with 32 pages. So on this date back in 1995, the 15th and final issue of Dead World from Caliber Comics went on sale on this date back in 1995. All right. So anyway, now getting ready to move on to getting ready now. Now 1995 was just so nice that we're gonna hit it twice. And also on this date in 1995, also on this date in 1995, some of you might actually remember watching this on Encore Wham or Encore Action. Or, Group TAC's Street Fighter 2 4, of course, anime based on the video game of the same name, premiered on Japanese television on this date back in 1995, so 30 years ago today. Group TAC's Street Fighter 2 4, or 2V, premiered on this date back in, or 2.5 or 2V, premiered on this date back in 1995. So there we go with that. And finally, moving ahead to 2020, 5 years ago today, on this date 5 years ago today, premiering in movie theaters, DreamWorks Animation. Trolls World Tour premiered in movie theaters. DreamWorks Animation's Trolls World Tour premiered in movie theaters on this date back 5 years ago in 2020. So with that, I do thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. We'll be back here with more niche news tomorrow. And don't forget this Sunday, as I mentioned earlier, Brett Cantrell, aka Apex from Apex Comics, will be joining me. And we'll be looking back to comics went on sale in April 1940. Let's see. Let me take care of that. We'll be looking at comics that went on sale from Columbia Comics at that point now. We'll be looking at Big Shot number 3, looking at such features as Skyman, trying to think here. Skyman, The Mask, Columbia's Mask. I think a couple others. So with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.